Hi students, welcome to today's lecture on artificial neural networks. Uh, this is a continuation to the previous lecture in which we discussed about what is a linear SVM and how to design a linear SVM with the help of an example. Okay, today we will focus on what is a nonlinear SVM and where we use this nonlinear SVM and how to design a nonlinear SVM for a given set of input patterns with the help of an example. Okay, so we will consider the same binary classification problem as we took in our earlier session for understanding this nonlinear SVM also. Okay, right. So let us understand what is a nonlinear SVM first. So we know that the SVMs are classified into two categories as a linear SVM and a nonlinear SVM, where linear SVM is used for linearly separable input patterns, and nonlinear SVM is used for linearly not separable input patterns. That means if the given set of input patterns are not linearly separable, then you can use nonlinear SVM uh, for that particular problem scenario. Okay, so this is just an opposite to the linear SVM. Whenever we cannot use a linear SVM, then we'll go for non-linear SVM in that case. So what is that case? We'll check whether the input patterns are linearly separable or not. If they are linearly separable, we will go with linear SVM. Otherwise, we need to design a non-linear SVM. So that is what you need to understand. Okay, so the point is where you can use this non-linear SVM. Where we can use it is if the input patterns are linearly not separable. Okay, then we can use non-linear SVM. Okay, now let us understand the steps used in this nonlinear SVM to identify the optimal hyperplane. So the ultimate goal of SVM, whether it is a linear SVM or a nonlinear SVM, is going to be same. Our goal is to identify the optimal hyperplane for the given set of input patterns. The goal remains the same, but the process will vary between linear SVM and nonlinear SVM. Okay, so now let us understand the steps used for designing this nonlinear SVM for a given set of input patterns. Okay, so in first step, what we need to do is, because we choose this nonlinear SVM, whenever we identify that the input data given is not linearly separable. So what we do in step one is, we try to transform the original input data, okay, we call it as input space, into a higher dimensional data. This input data is lower dimensional. That is the reason why we are not able to separate it linearly. So what we do with step one is, we need to transform the input data, which is in lower dimension, into a higher dimension data like this. Okay, so this higher dimensional data is now called as a feature space, right? So overall, in step one, what we do is we convert the given input space into feature space, which is definitely going to be a linear separable case. Okay, so for converting this input space to feature space, what we do is we'll perform a non-linear mapping with the help of some special kind of functions which we saw in fourth unit. We'll convert the given input space into feature space. Okay, so this is our step one. And then once the input space is converted into feature space, the next thing will be, uh, we need to, because now the feature space is linearly separable, we can use the same process of identifying the hyperplane, optimal hyperplane, as we did in linear SVM in step 2. Okay, so now we start finding a linear separating hyperplane in this new feature space, and the maximum margin hyperplane found in the new space corresponds to a nonlinear separability hyperplane in the original input space. So what we did is we converted the given input space, which is in low dimension, into a higher dimension feature space, and then because that high dimension feature space is linearly separable, we can make use of the old algorithm, that is linear SVM algorithm, to find that optimal hyperplane. So if you compare this linear SVM algorithm and a non-linear SVM algorithm, this involves one extra step, that is conversion of the input space into feature space, and all the remaining steps are going to be same as linear SVM. Okay, so I repeat, the difference between linear SVM algorithm and non-linear SVM algorithm is the first step only, in which we convert the input space into feature space, and the remaining steps are going to be same as linear SVM algorithm. Okay. Now let us understand this conversion of input space to feature space with the help of an example here. If you look at this, this is the low dimensional input space initially. If you observe, these are one class of inputs, and these are green color is another class of inputs. And there is no way of drawing a straight line to differentiate between these, that is to classify these two classes, right? So what we do is we convert this into a feature space, a high dimensional space, by performing some nonlinear mapping with the help of a function. We'll pick a function later, and we'll see what are the possible functions also. Okay, so with the help of some mapping function, we convert this input space, which is in lower dimension, into a higher dimension space, something like this. Then what it appears is these are now can be separated with a straight line. So now the red color symbols are linearly separable from green color symbols. Okay, so higher dimensional space always allows us to separate the input patterns linearly. Okay, so that is the reason why we are mapping the input space into feature space. So this is called as input space, which is low dimension, and this is called as feature space, which is high dimension and which is linearly separable. This is not linearly separable. Okay, so the SVM that is used to find the optimal hyperplane for a linearly non-separable input patterns is called as a non-linear SVM. This is a simple definition, you can easily remember it. A non-linear SVM is a SVM which is used to find the optimal hyperplane if the input patterns are not linearly separable. Okay, so that is the case. If they are linearly separable, we'll go with linear SVM. Okay, right. Now, let us go through the design of nonlinear SVM step by step. We will consider a sample input here, which falls under nonlinear separable case, and then we will see how a nonlinear SVM can be designed for these input patterns. So just like in our previous example, here also we are given with two types of labels. One is positive labels and the other one is negative labels. Okay, so positive labels are 2 comma 2, 2 comma minus 2, minus 2 comma minus 2, minus 2 comma 2, and the negative labels are 1 comma 1, 1 comma minus 1, minus 1 comma minus 1, and minus 1 comma 1, which means these labels will produce the desired responses. So the positive labels, the desired response from the positive labels is going to be +1, as we took while designing the linear SVM. So the desired response of these positive labels is going to be +1, and the desired response for this negative labels is going to be -1. So this is same as the previous example. We imagine like this, the output that is expected from these positive labels. So whenever we submit 2 comma 2 or 2 comma minus 2 or minus 2 comma minus 2 or minus 2 comma 2 for the support vector machine that we design, the output expected from the support vector machine is going to be +1. Then we say that it belongs to a positive label. Similarly, if we submit 1 1 or 1 minus 1 or minus 1 comma minus 1, r minus 1 comma 1 to the support vector machine that we design, then the output that should be produced is minus 1. Okay, then we say that it belongs to negative labels. Okay, so remember these desired responses for positive labels and negative labels, because we need to use +1 and -1 while representing the support vector equations with the help of Lagrange's multipliers. Okay, right. Now let us start the algorithm steps. So our first step is going to be whether these labels given are linearly separable or not. We need to check that first. Okay. So what are the labels given? 2 comma 2, 2 comma -2, -2 comma -2, -2 comma 2 are positive labels. Okay. 2 comma 2. So where it is? This is 2 comma 2. Okay. So these are positive labels. This is a positive label. Blue color symbols are positive labels. This is 2 comma 2. Okay, and this point is 2 comma -2. So you need to draw this with the help of a simple graph, because the maximum number is 2 and the minimum number is -2. We took something like this. Okay, a simple graph with x-axis and y-axis. Okay, and represent the points, and the other points are, this point is going to be -2 comma -2. That represents a positive label. So all the blue dots represent positive labels. This is also a positive label. And this is -2 comma 2. This is also a positive label. Okay. So there are 4 positive labels given, and these points are represented in the graph. Similarly, there are 4 negative labels given. So this point is going to be 1 comma 1. This is a negative label. Okay. And this point is 1 comma -1. So this is also a negative label. And 2 more are there. This point is -1 comma -1, represents a negative label. Okay, so it is given like that. There is nothing like -1 comma -1 belongs to negative, but it is given like that. It belongs to negative class is the given in our problem scenario, right? So the last point is -1 comma 1. Okay, so these are the points given, and I represented all these positive labels and negative labels in the input space. Now, can you draw a straight line to separate these positive labels and negative labels? Okay, is it possible? If you draw a straight line over here, then all the red labels goes into other side along with the 2 positive labels, right? So 2 blue dots are also there. But if you draw a straight line, something like this, it also does the same thing. 2 more points belongs to here. And if you draw something like this, it's not at all a hyperplane. So you cannot find a straight line that separates these red labels with these blue labels, right? So therefore, what we can say, the input space is not separable. It is not linearly separable. Okay. So the input space is not linearly separable. So what we can do now, because the input space is not linearly separable, the only option left is we can design a nonlinear SVM for this particular problem. Okay, so let us design a nonlinear SVM for this particular problem, right? So our first step is to convert the input space into the feature space. This step is very crucial. You need to understand this very clearly. For converting the input space into a feature space which is in high dimension, you need to choose a function. I repeat, you need to choose a function that performs this nonlinear mapping properly. Okay, so this need to be done very carefully. So for our example, I picked this phi of x1 x2 is equals to 4 minus x2 plus mod x1 minus x2. Similarly, the x2, that means x1 is changed like this, and x2 will be changed using this formula 4 minus x1 plus mod x1 minus x2. When I will use these formulas, if x1 square plus x2 square applied with square root becomes a greater than 2 value. Okay, so if this condition is satisfied, then the phi function that I will choose will perform these calculations for the new values of x1 and x2. Okay, if this condition is not satisfied, then the input x1 comma x2 remains the same. There will be no change. Okay, so while choosing this function, you need to be very careful in such a way that the corresponding mapping moves the corresponding inputs uh, into a higher dimensional space, such that you can identify a straight line to separate these moved input patterns. Okay, so I took it as greater than 2. So every value that becomes greater than 2 with this formula will be moved away, and the remaining points will remain at the original positions. Okay, so I'm just trying to move some points away from the original position so that there is a possibility of drawing a straight line between the given input classes. Okay, so this need to be done very carefully. This is not fixed. You can choose any function that will perform that nonlinear mapping of the input space to feature space. Okay, so that is up to you, right? There are some predefined functions also available, starting with the radial basis functions, and the kernel functions are also available. Okay, so for our problem, we are picking this example, 4 minus x2 plus x1 minus x2 for x1 if square root of x1 square plus x2 square is greater than 2. Otherwise, we'll pick x1 comma x2 as same, the original point. Okay, right. So we use this formula to convert our input space into feature space now. So the first point is 2 comma 2. Okay, so positive label. I will calculate using the formula 4 minus x2. x2 is same plus mod x1 minus x2. Okay, I use the same formula. So 2 plus 0, it's going to be 2. And this is also going to be 2. So there is no change in the first point. It remains the same. And the second point, 2 comma minus 2, is now moved to 4 minus. Here we take x2. So what we need to understand is the formula goes like this. This goes to this position, and this goes to this position while calculating the value. And this is going to be x1 minus x2. Okay, right. So 2 comma minus 2. Now it is 2 is used here, and minus 2 is used here. What is the answer now? 4 minus of minus 2 plus x minus x2, that is 2 minus of minus 2 becomes 2 plus 2. So this is going to be 4 plus 2, 6 plus 4, it is 10. Okay, and then the second point is 4 minus 2 plus 2 plus 2, that is 2 plus 4, it becomes 6. So the second point, 2 comma minus 2, is now 10 comma 6 in the feature space. Okay, so it is changed. The point is moved away, far away from the original position. Okay, the next point is phi of minus 2 comma minus 2, and this comes over here, and this goes to the value of x1. So 4 minus of minus 2 becomes 4 plus 2 plus minus 2 minus of minus 2 is going to be 0. Okay, so this is going to be 0. So this is 4 plus 2 is 6, and here also we get 4 plus 2, it is also 6. So phi of minus 2 comma minus 2 is 6 comma 6. That means this is the new point representing minus 2 comma minus 2 in feature space. Okay, so these are all the points in feature space. Okay, we are getting these points as feature space points. And the last point, phi of minus 2 comma 2, is converted using the same formula. It comes over here, and this goes up. 4 minus 2 plus minus 2 minus 2, it's going to be minus 4, and this becomes 2 minus 4. Okay, 4 minus 2 is 2 plus mod of minus 4, that is going to be 4. 2 plus 4, so it is 6. Okay, and 4 plus 2 is 6 plus minus 2 minus 2 is minus 4, but there is a absolute mod here, so it becomes 4. 6 plus 4 is going to be 10. Okay, so this is the new position of minus 2 comma 2 in the feature space. So now we got four new positions for the original input space. Okay. Similarly, we need to calculate the feature space values for the negative class labels also. Okay. So for negative class labels, if you see the constraint, if you calculate square root of x1 square plus x2 square, it's going to be square root of 1 square plus square root of 1 square. So this is going to be square root of 2, which becomes 1.4, something like that. Okay. So we know that if it is greater than 2, then we use the previous formulas. If it is less than 2, because this is definitely less than 2, we are going to use the same input point. That means phi of 1 comma 1 is same as 1 comma 1. There is no change in x1 comma x2. Okay. So because if you find the square root of every input pattern, it's going to be square root of 2 only for every input pattern. This is also square root of 1 square plus minus 1 whole square. Minus 1 whole square is also uh, 1. Okay, so this is also going to be square root of 2. That means this is also going to be 1.4, something like that. So definitely less than 2. Therefore, we use the same input value here also. So input space and feature space is same for these values. Okay. If you calculate for this also, square root of minus 1 square plus minus 1 square is going to be square root of 2 for this also. Therefore, we take the same values. And here also, the square root of minus 1 square plus 1 square is going to be square root of 2. So we pick the same value here also. So for the negative labels, there is no change between input space and feature space. The same input patterns are calculated here also. Okay. So now we have calculated all the feature space points. Now let us represent this into the diagram to see whether they are linearly separable or not now. So the new points now are 2 comma 2, 10 comma 6, 6 comma 6, 6 comma 10, and these negative labels are again same. So if you represent this 2 comma 2, this label is 2 comma 2. Okay, this is 2 comma 2, and this is going to be 6 comma 6. This is going to be 6 comma 10. And this is 10 comma 6. Okay, so the feature space is now with the new values of input patterns. These are spread like this on input space. Okay, and the negative labels occupies these positions. They are same. This point is 1 comma 1. Okay, this point is 1 comma minus 1. Y value is minus 1 here. And similarly, these 2 points represent this is going to be minus 1 comma 1. And the last point is minus 1 comma minus 1. Okay. So now, can you draw a straight line to separate these red dots with the blue dots? Yes, of course we can. We can draw a straight line anywhere here, something like this, like this. There are many hyperplanes possible now. So what we can say, the feature space is now linearly separable, right? Do you understand this? Previously, the actual input patterns are not linearly separable. After converting it into feature space, now the input patterns are linearly separable, right? So because it is linearly separable, now we can follow the same steps which we used in the design of linear SVM from now onwards. Okay, right. So what are the steps used for designing the linear SVM now? We need to identify the support vectors first. So how do you identify the support vectors? The closest point to the opposite class. So this is the only closest point to the opposite class. So this becomes a support vector. And if you observe, this is the only closest point to the opposite vector. You might ask me a doubt here. What about this point? Of course, they are at same position, but if you look at the distance from the other class, this is larger. So we will pick only the closest point. If this might have been here and the distance is same, then we must have picked the both values as support vectors. But this is not going to be a support vector because it has a large space here. So this and this acts as support vectors. We have two support vectors only. What are those? The first support vector is 1, 1, and the second support vector is 2, 2. Okay, so we can pick the support vectors like this, the closest point to the other class of input patterns, right? So 2, 2 is a support vector, 1, 1 is a support vector. So we'll pick that S1 is equal to 1, 1 and S2 is equals to 2, 2. Then we need to augment the support vectors with the bias term 1. Okay, so it becomes extra 1 will be added to the original point. So 1, 1 is the original point. So this is added extra 1, 1, 1. 2, 2 is the original support vector. Now this is added as extra bias term. We call this S1 tilde and S2 tilde as augmented support vectors. Okay, augmented support vectors. So after calculating the augmented support vectors, the next step is we need to find the Lagrange multiplier terms alpha by defining equations for each support vector. So because we have two support vectors S1 and S2, you will get two equations for the multipliers, Lagrange multipliers. The first equation represents the first support vector S1 tilde. And because the first support vector is representing a negative class label, so we take it as is equals to -1. Okay, and the second equation represents the second support vector. You can observe it here. It is S2 tilde in every term. So it represents the support vector 2. And because support vector 2, that is 2, 2 is representing a positive label, we take the RHS as +1. Because we know the desired responses of positive label is +1 and desired response of negative label is -1. Okay, so after writing this, please watch the previous video to understand how these equations came. Okay, so after defining these two equations, our next task is to find the values of these S1 dot S1, S2 dot S1, similarly S1 dot S2, S2 dot S2, by performing a dot product between the vectors S1 and S2 tildes. Okay, so we know that S1 dot S1 is going to be 1, 1, 1 into 1, 1, 1. So we'll multiply it 1 into 1 plus 1 into 1 plus 1 into 1. It's going to be 3. Okay. The next thing is S2 dot S1. It's going to be 2 into 1 plus 2 into 1 plus 1 into 1. It is 2 plus 2 plus 1. It is 5. Okay. So now, because in the first equation we have S1 dot S1, S2 dot S1. If you substitute these two values here, this becomes 3 alpha 1 and 5 into alpha 2 is equals to -1. So the first equation is 3 alpha 1 plus 5 alpha 2 is equals to -1. Okay. Similarly, for this S1 dot S2 is calculated as 5 and S2 dot S2 is calculated as 9. Okay, it's just a vector dot product. You can easily calculate it. So now if you substitute it here, it's going to be 5 alpha 1 plus 9 alpha 2 is equals to +1. So 5 alpha 1 plus 9 alpha 2 is equals to +1. So these two equations we got. Now if you solve these two equations, you will get the values of alpha 1 and alpha 2. So try to solve these two equations. You should get these alpha 1 is equals to -7 and alpha 2 is equals to 4 as the values after solving these two linear equations. Okay. Right, now we got Lagrange multiplier terms alpha I also. Now the next step is we need to calculate the weight vector W. W tilde is equals to, the formula goes like this: summation I alpha I into Si, where alpha is the Lagrange multiplier terms and Si is the augmented support vectors. Okay, so because we have two support vectors, this formula becomes I is equals to 1 to 2, that is alpha 1 into S1 tilde and alpha 2 into S2 tilde. So this I value is from 1 to 2 because we have two support vectors. Okay, so if you have three support vectors, this must have been I is equals to 1 to 3. It depends on the number of support vectors. Okay, so now alpha 1 into S1 tilde plus alpha 2 into S2 tilde is equals to, the value is, we got the value of alpha 1 as -1, so it is -7, that is -7 into S1 tilde, the augmented support vector S1 is 1 1 1, plus alpha 2 is 4 into augmented support vector S2 is 2 comma 2 comma 1. Okay, so if you perform a multiplication on this, what you will get is -7 and -7 as the first one, plus this is going to be 4 into 2, 8 and 4, second vector. So what is the resultant vector we get? It is -7 plus 8, it's going to be 1, -7 plus 8, it's going to be 1, and -7 plus 4 is -3. Okay, so this is the weight vector we got, and the first two values 1 comma 1 represents the weights W1 and W2, and this -3 represent a bias. Okay, because we added that bias term as augmentation for the original input patterns, the third value becomes the bias term. The first two values are going to be weight terms. Okay, so 1 and 1 are going to be weight terms, -3 is a bias term. Okay, now because we found all the values, W we got, bias we got, and alpha terms we got, then we need to identify the equation of this line by identifying the point through which that equation passes through. Okay, so this is going to be by substituting W is, we got 1 comma 1, 1 comma 1 into x plus bias term is -3 is equals to 0. This becomes 1 comma 1 into x is equals to 3. So if you observe this, what is the possible values for x here to get this 3? Assuming that this is a dot product, x may be 3 comma 0, the two possible points, x may be a 3 comma 0, or it may be 0 comma 3. So if you identify at least 2 points, then you can connect them and extend them to get the equation of wx plus b is equals to 0. Okay, so the 2 points that I'm identifying for possible x may be either 3 comma 0, then only you will get 3 into 1 plus 0 into 1 is going to be 3, or you can use 0 comma 3 also. Okay, to identify this. So at least 2 points you need to identify to draw the corresponding straight line. So I picked the two values here, 3 comma 0 and 0 comma 3 as 2 points on the straight line, and then you can connect them and extend them to the infinity to draw the corresponding straight line. Okay, so now let us draw the straight line that separates the input patterns given in our example problem. Okay, so if you look at this diagram, this point represents 3 comma 0 that I identified. So I have identified 3 comma 0 as a point on the line. Okay, so I'll pick this point 3 comma 0. Similarly, this point is going to be 0 comma 3. So you need to identify at least 2 points on the corresponding line and then connect them, which can be extended to the infinity. Okay, so this becomes a straight line that separates the input patterns. These are all positive labels. Okay, and these are all negative labels, right? So now we are able to draw a straight line that separates the positive labels from negative labels. Okay, this line becomes the optimal hyperplane for the given set of input patterns. So this becomes optimal hyperplane, right? So this is how we can identify the optimal hyperplane for a given set of input patterns if they are not linearly separable, right? So practice this problem again, you will understand it. If you practice this problem, it is bonus that you identified all the steps in linear SVM also. If you go through the algorithm steps, only the first step is different. What is that first step? Performing a non-linear mapping. That is the only difference between linear SVM and non-linear SVM. So if you learn this only extra step, then you can perform both the linear SVM and non-linear SVM. Okay, so this need to be practiced well. Okay, so if you practice non-linear SVM, it means it contains, because it contains all the steps of linear SVM also. Uh, it becomes easier for you to learn both the algorithms, linear SVM as well as non-linear SVM. Okay, and take out all these steps without the problem, or else because we wrote down the algorithm steps for linear SVM in our previous lecture slide. For that steps, you just add one more step that performs a non-linear mapping as a second step. Okay, so that will be your non-linear SVM algorithm also. So this is a task given to you. Please write down the steps for non-linear SVM also in your own by looking into that linear SVM algorithm and by adding one more step of performing non-linear mapping from input space to feature space. Okay, so that's all. That is about the design of nonlinear SVM. Okay, so now once we design the nonlinear SVM, the last step is to verify whether our model is performing well or not. We call this step as validation of the model. Okay, so what we do for this validation purpose is we will take any input pattern given in the set of tables and verify whether the model is performing well or not for the corresponding input labels. So I am taking 2 comma 2 for testing purpose. So f of 2 comma 2 I will take. The formula is going to be sine of summation I alpha into phi of Si into phi of x, where alpha is our Lagrange terms and phi of Si are the augmented support vectors. Phi of x is the augmented input pattern. Okay, so now let us identify the formulas. It is because we have two support vectors, we will get I is equals to, the formula goes from 1 to 2 only. So I is equals to 1 to 2. Okay, then it becomes alpha 1 into phi of S1 into phi of x plus alpha 2 into phi of S2 into phi of x. Okay, now alpha 1 we got it as minus 7. Augmented support vector 1 is 1 1 1 and augmented input vector is 2 2 1. Okay, plus 4 into because we got this value as 4, alpha 2 is 4. And augmented support vector 2 is 2 comma 2 comma 1 and phi of x is 2 comma 2 comma 1, the input pattern. Okay, now if you multiply this, you will get this is going to be a vector dot product here 2 plus 2 plus 1, that gives you 2 plus 2 plus 1 here, that is 7 5, sorry, it's going to be 5 plus this gives 2 into 2 plus 2 into 2 plus 1 into 1, which is going to be 4 plus 4 plus 1, that gives 9 here. Okay, so minus 7 into 5 plus 4 into 9. Okay, this value is 9. So what is the final value we got? This is minus 35. Okay, and this is 4 into 9 is 36. 36 minus 35 is plus 1, that becomes a positive label. So 2 comma 2 is a positive label, is the answer from our model, and exactly 2 comma 2 is a positive label itself in the given scenario, the problem scenario. Okay, so what we can say now, we can conclude that the model that we developed for performing that classification of given input patterns is performing well, right? So our model is properly validated now. Okay, you can check with other input patterns also. You need to take the original input patterns, not the feature space. You pick any input pattern from the original input space and check whether your model is performing well or not with the help of these formulas. Okay, so the only thing you need to remember is, in place of this 2 to 1, you substitute that input pattern, you select for validation purpose. Okay, right. So our model is performing well, right? Yeah, that's all about the design of nonlinear SVM. So today we saw how to what is a nonlinear SVM first, by defining as if the input patterns are not linearly separable, then there is a need of nonlinear SVM for designing the solution for the corresponding problem, the classification problem. Then we have seen how to perform this design of nonlinear SVM for a given set of input patterns. For that, first we check whether the given input patterns are linearly separable or not. If they are not linearly separable, then what we do is we perform a nonlinear mapping from input space to feature space. That is the crucial step, and you need to pick an appropriate function, a mapping function that performs the task of moving the input space to feature space, which are going to be linearly separable. That is a complex task that you need to understand. So it depends on the application domain. The function varies from one problem to another problem. You need to pick it well. We have other options also left, such as radial basis functions. Several kernel functions are available, starting with polykernel, and other functions are also available. So for this problem, we picked a different function for mapping input space to feature space. And then once the input space is properly moved to the feature space, the remaining steps are going to be same as linear SVM steps, that performs identifying the support vectors. And then once identified, the support vectors are identified, the next thing is you need to calculate the Lagrange multiplier terms, alpha i's, and then calculate the weight vector W tilde. And once weight vector is identified, you need to identify the equation Wx plus b is equals to 0, which passes through the point x. Okay, and then draw the line that shows the separation between the given input patterns. Okay, so finally, you need to validate your model. That means you need to prove your model is performing well for the given set of input patterns. Okay, so that stops validation step, stops the nonlinear SVM algorithm. Okay, so that's what I wanted to explain today. So that is about nonlinear SVM. That's all for today. With this, we have completed 6th unit also successfully. So the entire syllabus is completed except one topic from 4th unit, the function approximation using multi-layer feed-forward neural networks. I'll explain it in the next lecture session. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you all for your patient listening. I request all of you to practice these problems very well, because they are very important for your examination point of view also. Okay, thank you all once again. See you again in the next session.